Hey everyone, we are going to do an activity today where we are simulating the whole process of protein synthesis by determining the traits of a mystery organism. So basically, we're talking about that process that we've been summarizing, right? Where we go from DNA, we make a template of mRNA, and then the mRNA leaves the nucleus, tRNAs bind, and bring with it an amino acid sequence. Okay, we say that you are your proteins because the kinds of proteins that your body makes are going to be unique to you for the most part, and they're going to code for what is your phenotype. A phenotype is your physical appearance. Do you have a long nose? Do you have big ears? Do you have freckles? Do you have light skin or dark skin? Do you have blonde hair or brown hair? All that is due to the kinds of proteins that your body makes. All right, so let me show you this chart. So this is showing you the whole process, going from DNA to mRNA. So this process is happening in the nucleus. Then you go from mRNA to tRNA, and the tRNA brings with it the amino acids. Okay, and those amino acids together in a long chain end up becoming the protein that codes for a trait. So to do this, you need to remember your base pairing rules. DNA has A, T's, G's, and C's. And we know the straight letters, A's and T's, bind together. And the C's and G's, or the curvy letters, bind together. But when you're going from DNA to RNA, there's one little caveat, and that is that RNA has a U instead of T's. So when you're looking at base pairing rules between DNA and RNA, A is going to bind to U in RNA. Whereas if DNA has a T, it's still going to bind to an A in RNA. So that's the one little thing, one little difference you have to watch out for. When you go from mRNA to tRNA, it's just A, U's, G's, and C's. That's all you've got. So A is going to bind to U, U is going to bind to A, C is going to bind to G, G is going to bind to C. Now, you want to be careful with this because it's very, very easy to get mixed up. And then, but one clue I'll show you is when you get down to the end and it doesn't code for anything in particular, you can probably guess that you've made a mistake somewhere and have to go back and redo it. But let me show you what we're going to do. So you're given this chart and you have these genes, okay? And the gene is going to code for a certain trait. So here's my DNA sequence. We know that it's DNA because it has T's. We are going to write the complementary mRNA strand. So T, what does T bind to in RNA? Well, T binds to A's. So it's going to be A and then another A because there's two T's. And then C binds with G. So the mRNA codon that matches this DNA sequence is AAG. Then we're going to go from G to C, A. Here's where we got to use that U, because A binds with U, T binds with A. So those are our two mRNA codes. Now, if we're going to convert them, we're again just going to write the complementary strand using our base pairing rules. A is going to bind to U. So we've got U, U, and G is going to bind with C. Here, C is going to bind with G, U is going to bind with A, and A is going to bind with U. Okay, so those are our tRNA anticodons. That's the codon, that's the anticodon. It just basically means it's the opposite, okay, or the matching part on the tRNA. So now we got to find our amino acids that these code for. Now, one thing you got to keep in mind is most of these kind of charts that you will see, sometimes they look like this, sometimes they're a wheel, sometimes they're a list. Either way, these are the mRNAs, okay? These are the mRNA codons that code for an amino acid. So we're going to use this code here in the middle to look up those codes. So our first one is AAG. So you go, the first base is A, G. AAG is lysine, okay? So this codes for lysine. Then again, looking at the mRNA, CUA is leucine. Okay, so now our code is lysine leucine. And since we said this is the whole gene, obviously you're going to know in your head that genes are actually hundreds of codons long and hundreds of amino acids long. So we are doing just a very baby example of how this actually works. If this were really a gene coding for, say, eye color or nose, I mean, it would be hundreds of base pairs long. Okay. So now that we have that, your next step is to figure out, okay, what is the trait that this is coding for? So you go over here and you look in your list. We have lysine and leucine. So you're going to go down your list till you see lysine and leucine, and we know that our organism has large blue elephant ears. Okay, so we know that that is his first trait. And you're going to continue to do that for all of your genes until you have a list of traits that then you're going to draw your organism, okay? And they're going to be funny looking. So you can see some of the things are green bodies and purple ears and all kinds of weird stuff. So you're going to find your organism, what they're going to look like, then you're going to draw them on your on a bill, maybe on a separate sheet of paper, and then you're going to upload a picture of it into your Word document. If you're really good at drawing on the computer, or if you have a touch screen and a stylus and you want to just draw it with the drawing tools, that's fine too. Whatever works easiest for you. All right, guys, enjoy.